Hi, today I'm going to talk about discrete trial training um, and just what it's about, how to implement it, some resources you can use. Um, yeah, so for discrete trial training, it's used in a one-on-one setting. So it'd be you and the student sitting down independently working, um, and it's a three-part, I would say, intervention where you give a prompt, you wait for a response, and then you reinforce that response from the student. Um, and there's different ways that can look. So, say that you had prompted the student to hand you out of a field of three letters, just one letter in the alphabet, and they were doing it incorrectly, then you could, using the hierarchy of prompting, go through gestural, verbal, visual, modeling, or physical to get them to that right response. And then once they get that right response, reinforcing those students. And reinforcement can also look a few different ways. You can give them like a verbal praise, being like, good job, you did it, high fives, kind of depending on how or what the student likes. Maybe if it's an edible reinforcer. I know a lot of my students that I work with really enjoy bigger things that you can't necessarily reinforce immediately. So we'll use a token economy and hand them tickets, and then after maybe 5 tickets, then they can earn the iPad or a swing break, something that's a little bigger, but you still want to reinforce them after each correct response with that ticket, showing them that they're still making progress towards that bigger reward. So just going over the example again, the antecedent would be the teacher prompting, so you would say, hand me letter B, and the choices on the board would be A, B, C. And then they hand you correctly the letter B, and you can either then give them a verbal praise, give them that token, give them an edible reinforcer, kind of depending on like their preference, which is a necessary thing to know before starting this. You would want to know what really works with that student and what doesn't, so that you're not reinforcing them with something that's not even positive to them. This is good. Discrete trial training is good when you're in that one-on-one setting. You really need to be attentive to that student, so it'd be hard to do it in a group. It's also, I find it really good to use when you're trying to teach someone new materials. It helps the student make those connections better. So besides that, I would just say just sticking to that one-on-one setting. But you can use it pretty much for anything that you would find be necessary for that child to like earn that reinforcement to understand what they're learning. There's some really good resources out there for you to use yourself if you need more explanation. For example, Educate Autism is a really good website, and they always have links to all of their resources, which is really helpful. So if you want to learn even more besides what they just put on their website, I liked one thing that they brought up in that website, was just saying that one of the most important instructional methods for children with autism is that discrete trial training, and that is from a book that they linked called Discrete Trial Training in the Treatment of Autism. I also think that it's helpful that kids get stuck with generalizing information, especially children on the spectrum. So having multiple sources, or multiple people, I should say, like doing this discrete trial training would be very helpful. So instead of just the teacher doing it, like having paraprofessionals do it, having even at home, like their parents doing it if they have BCBAs at home, if they go to different therapies, just using it in different contexts with different people so that they're not just getting stuck on always doing discrete trial training with just one person, and then they would generalize that concept with just them. So that's an important thing to remember, and also just be aware of when you are doing this, is that the more people, the less generalization that there is. Thanks for learning a little bit about discrete trial training.